nobody's sitting there saying no, no, don't put this in the game. It's like, cool, we want it too.
Yeah.
How do we make sure it doesn't break everything?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there is I guess, is it one of those things where you guys choose, okay, this can be added for just multiplayer, but not for Warzone? Or is it one of those, if you add it to multiplayer, you got to add it across the board? Or can you guys select and choose?
It depends. It depends on what it is, what the feature is. Certain things cost so much and take so much time that we can't do that with everything. Little thing like stamina bar is probably easy enough to turn off. But
okay.
I mean, I'm speaking for the team. Like, I'm sure somebody's UI engineer just died somewhere, probably when I said that. So I'll take that back.
Well, no,
I'm sure
to answer the question, like, listen, we're partnering super close with our partners at Treyarch on Zombies, with the Raven folks on Battle Royale and Warzone, and we're just, we're talking to those teams, those designers, those producers, those, UI folks, weapon folks, all the time, just to make sure that we want to make the game to feel as unified as possible. But we know that there's certain things that each mode needs, just for their custom experience.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's actually great to know. I know that's a big question that's a lot of people have asked for the years, is like, can we separate the 3 or 2, right? And speaking of, when it comes to weapon balancing is probably a big thing because weapon balancing for Warzone is completely different than weapon balancing for multiplayer, right? Which I guess I wanted to ask is kind of weapon balancing for you guys. How do you guys feel about that? At least right now, it seems like subs are very weak. Very weak. Yeah. And so is that something you guys are aware of? And if so, changes coming season 1 to subs, maybe buffing them a little bit. What do you guys think about that?
Yes. So we have tuning changes. They're coming. I'm trying to remember what exactly they were. They're soon. There's tuning changes coming soon. We are looking at the subs. Like I've heard that a number of times coming up. The exact details I'm unaware of. I'm not sure what they are, but it is something that we're looking at.
Okay. And as far as like whenever you're changing these values, right? I mean, this is a question that I've always had, and I'm glad I can talk to you guys about this. Is like, how easy is it to kind of adjust weapons? Like, is it as simple as just going in and changing a value, or is it a lot more complex than just that?
I mean, you could go in and change a value, and like. It depends on what you want to, how much grief and
there's
yeah,
but
everything has consequences.
And there's an art to it too. It's not just one value. I mean, there's everything from recoil to bullet velocity. I mean, there's just so much that makes up the character of a weapon that, and you want it to feel good in the host of weapons that we have in the game now, especially with all the carry forward weapons and the Modern Warfare 3 weapons. We want just each one to have its own character and feel good in the game.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
It's a fun topic to talk about at length in like design chat and everything else, where it is a very complex, very nuanced, like data versus feel question that always comes up, because you can throw your data at it all day long and be like, oh, my KD with this gun is blah blah blah. But then to somebody else, it's like, oh, the gun doesn't feel right. We have too much recoil, or I can't see my target, or whatever. And like, there's all these other factors that go into it, especially when that aren't part of the numbers. Like, one of the things that we've focused on quite a bit is removing stuff from in front of the sights, right? Like, don't have visual effects show up in front of the sights. Get rid of the as much
visual recoil,
muzzle flash, and visual recoil and all of that, because it adds another component to it that's on top of just the numbers that are in the game. Even the audio as well, the hit markers. We spent tons of time on the hit markers, and this is like the first game that I'm like, the audio team and I are like high-fiving each other, going like, yeah, they sound good. Like, whereas before it was always a fight of like, oh, well, how do we make this sound better? And then there's disagreements on what sounds better. But this is like, yeah, awesome. We feel good about it. So there's all those things that are kind of weapon tuning, if you want to put them in that bucket, right?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, from the whole community, I think we can all say thank you for removing visual recoil and muzzle flash, because it made the game feel like OG Call of Duties again, as far as like the arcadey style, fast pace, like that. Like I think everybody, which is another question, right? It's like, let's say from like the Modern Warfare 2 guns still have visual recoil. I'm assuming that's not something that will probably be changed. I mean, I know most people probably aren't using those guns, but like, is it something that's like, it's just specifically for Modern Warfare 3 guns that don't have visual recoil and muzzle flash?
So it is a interesting situation, right, with the carry forward weapons and how they behave coming into the game. There's a lot of weapons, right? There's like over 100. I forget the actual number. We have seasonal weapons coming on, and part of the reason why we have the recommended, flag in all of the weapons is so that we can actually kind of tell you what weapons we're focused on and how we're doing that. So as we start to move more weapons into the recommended tag and pull them out of the recommended, so that's a rotational thing. We'll start rotating that with season 1, or actually I think it might be a little later than that. But then you'll start to see some of those MW2 weapons come into that, and then that's when we'll be looking at those closer, looking at some of the other elements that are going on in those weapons, and trying to ultimately balance them across the board. Like, we've looked at them already for balance, but like much closer in terms of like, okay, how's the visual recoil, how's this, how's that. Like we did kind of a numbers pass on them previously, because there's so many of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many guns is there in the game at the moment.
100 and some odd. I can get you a specific. It's like, yeah, I don't know. We got a bunch of new ones coming for season 1 as well.
Yeah. 117.
So,
damn.